Good morning, traders. Hello and welcome to this special morning update here live on YouTube for you all. I'm gonna make a quick sound check as per usual, and then we may proceed. And I'm just on a quick long scalp here on NQ, so I'm just gonna move this up so I can, yeah, there you go, so I can focus. Right, so hello everybody. Let's see who's in the house this morning with us. We have Eric, hello Eric, Kraft, Peter, Paul, Dirk, Christina, Dark Goose, Vito, H1PS, JR Trades, Reina, hello my friend, good morning, bon dia campeones, grande maestro, hello everybody, hola, bon dia, MRD, Bert Van Gatax, Nico Banks, hello my friend, Stelios, let's go, Peter, thank you for the sound confirmation there, sound is good stuff, sound and visuals all good. Hola, what chopper, hello my friend, how you doing? Nice trades there. Chicolette, hoi crypto, hey for Piet, Vigern, I can't say that. Hello Sandra, how you doing? Sound is check, we're live, let's go. Right, so yes, oh look at that, I got ticked out. Anyway, right, so good morning everybody, good afternoon, whatever you may be, welcome. So today we are live on YouTube, and what I am planning for today is to bring in what I do for the champion members over at Chat Champions on a daily basis. So we go over the well, I always share my Bitcoin analysis for everybody, as well as, you know, Yes and Q, etc. So we'll go over BTC, and we'll go straight into BTC now, and we go and do a top-down analysis. So favorite part of the day, yes, absolutely. So yeah, so it's going to give you a good insight on how we obviously break down the daily plan, and then, you know, at the end we'll have a few levels to work with, and that could be levels for a short trade, long trade, etc. But let's just build some context. So yeah, let's do that. I hope you are all doing really, really well. Grab your tea, your coffee, and yeah, we'll dive straight into that. Good morning, good morning. So people are still coming in. So let's give another, you know, a few seconds there. And yeah, and if you enjoy the content, please, you know, give us a little like there. It always helps grow the channel, and that's the purpose of these videos, is to help, you know, as much people as we can, traders, and, you know, help the community as well. So yeah, hello everybody. It's nice to see a few faces in here. We've got some champions there as well, contenders, and then some people obviously from yeah, from the world. So yeah, let's start. So yeah, so I've got QT here. I've got ES lined up, I've got gold lined up as well, and then I've got NQ. I was just on that little scalp. As soon as we claimed this high, I wanted to go with the long trade up to those 800s, but as you can see there, that nice long wick just took us out, but still in profits nevertheless. So yeah, I'm going to keep this on the S just to see where we are as well. Coming up to the highs, we do have a large gap there, but we'll cover that in a second. Let's go over to that screen over there, and let's start with our BTC top down. Any questions, please do let me know in the chat, and I'll be sure to go over everything there. So yeah, let's go over that chart there, and we'll start with our BTC top-down analysis. So let's just change this chart because I'm currently on ES. I was actually updating this. So let's go BTC, and wow, look at that. It's on a tear, right? But you know, we've been looking at this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with this daily RTH bar chart, and because I know on YouTube and on the stream the bars doesn't quite show properly, so I'm going to keep this on the candles, and let's start. So I'm going to bring up my drawings. What we'll do, we'll draw some gaps here to see where they are. So currently what we have is a gap down here. So we have 88,700. And since we broke out, okay, so since we broke out of this range here, so since we broke out of this, for the second day now, we've had a gap up. So this is a sign of change and a sign of strength, okay? So you have a gap, and then you open with the regular trading hours, and then you cause another gap. So I'm only going to mark the top one because that's the nearest to price, but we're going to have another one up here as well. Okay, so let's delete that line for now, and that gap is already marked. And then to the upside, that's been filled. There's really not many gaps to the upside. So yep, no gaps there. I'm going to quickly mark the simple moving averages on the daily. So let's just open this up, and you can see there we came down to the 200, we looked below and closed back above. And I do have these two levels down here, which is the next two gaps that I've got. And I was looking at this level as a potential max pain scenario, which now that we've broken and we've made two gaps to the upside, it's looking less and less likely to come to fruition. But I still have the level mark there because it's a good gap, okay? And, you know, anything that may happen, and, you know, if BTC does lose the range, comes back inside, then it could bring some odds. But I think the odds at the moment are very low to come down here. And I'll go over that in a second. So, but yeah, I'm going to keep that gap because it's the really only one after this range that I have. I don't have anything in between here, and that becomes the next sort of like logical area to look for. but we're far away from it, therefore we don't have to worry about it now. And we know that we came close to the 200 simple moving average RTA chart on the daily, and then we eventually went through, reclaim, and now we're kind of like making a series of higher highs and higher lows, and potential higher high for another higher low. But I'm going to move this 50 line up to the 50, so that's sitting in at 87,810. So let's go and mark this 812 there. Let's go 10 just to round up, and the 200 is kind of sitting at the same price there, so just slightly, I think I actually have it a little bit higher, so it's 50ish, so 86.50. okay, and then what I do, I hide these moving average, and then I've got a very good gauge on what's going on. And you can see here, so let's say BTC now obviously looks really healthy and bullish, and we're trying to flip that 90k support level, well, resistance turns into support now. However, this 50 simple moving average, it's going to be very important, because that's going to be nice support, but as well as closing below that 50 on a daily, it's going to make this look very bearish with a failed auction above. Okay, so while we remain above, we're good, look for more upside, but closing back below this 50, it's a little bit more bearish, and I would expect a little bit of a deeper retracement, especially to retest that 200 simple, which would look something like, let's say we do go back below, we could get a deeper pullback just to kind of make this kind of a higher low later. So that's something that I know and I'm going to be looking for. However, I don't think the max pain is, I don't think the odds are great now based on breaking all of this structure here, okay, and going gap. So it's looking a little bit more bullish. So any retracement should be a buy opportunity, basically. And then also down there, between the gap low and the max pain scenario, we do have a beautiful anchored VWAP for the year. So this is the yearly anchored VWAP, which kind of, when we were coming close, that seemed like a really great place for those like long-term hold scenarios, okay? So I'm just going to make sure that everything is here. And yeah, please smash the likes. Question, how do you prepare for the swing trade? Yep, okay, we're going to go over that. Perfect, good. Any problems? Yeah, just type them in the chat and I'll switch over to that. Anyway, let's continue here. So those are the 200s. So it's always good to start with that. And this is the daily time frame there. So now what I'm going to do, because this is sync across all charts, I'm just going to hide those, and we're going to do something very, very quick here, which is monthly. Okay, so this is the monthly chart, and let me know if the white and black is okay, because I can change this to a different color, because I know you guys. Black bar chart, let's go with that. Oops, no, let's go, sorry, yeah, let's go with that just in case. There you go. So that's better for you guys to see, I think. So monthly, we are now, oh wow, look at that. So we are coming to the previous month open, okay, and then we have just the high. So we are near one time framing break. So 95, I'm going to actually mark this level, very important. Wow, that's very nice. Okay, so I'm going to mark this as M for monthly, okay, one time framing break, okay, let's call it break. Oops. Break. So that's I'm actually going to put monthly, okay. Yes, that is only 95,700, but technically, okay, we are still one time framing down, okay, on the monthly. However, I mean, look at that, we are literally so close to it, and that will then break this downtrend into, changing the structure of this market. So that's monthly. Let's go down to the weekly, and you can see we're very close to it. Wow, that's amazing. So weekly, we have the low, that's the 200 SMA, 75k, and then we have one time framing higher. So the weekly is, one time framing higher, and this week only just open. I mean, it's only Wednesday. So daily, again, one time framing higher since we've made the lows on there at 74. And this is why I felt at the time that we could get another push down, because we do have a weak low, and the low is actually during electronic trading hours. So at the time I felt we might take that. But as you can see here, the CME kind of like really dictates the price here, whereby, you know, a double bottom is seen as very good support, and that is 75k. So yeah, you can't deny that. Really, really good, and respect, especially when you pop the, you know, the 200 SMA, and you know that you've looked, and then the second candle to make the swing low comes down and then closes much higher. So you can see the open down there at 77, but look at the daily close. The daily close was at 83, and then we actually had a retest again and again. So very, very technical when you look at these simple moving averages. Anyway, let's move on. So yeah, so we can delete this line now. Yeah, we're very close, but just to say that daily, weekly, one time framing higher, just the monthly that is about to take that. Let's just go back again. So just about to take that. So that's a very important level, and I'm going to keep this. I'm going to sync it across our layouts so that we can, and I'm just going to do very quickly here because we don't need that chart anymore. I'm just going to go back to the white chart. There we go. Oops. Oh, it doesn't matter. It's fine. It's okay. Let's just go back twice. There you go. Okay. There you go. So that's synced, and I can put this on bars now, and I can go to the 24. So I prefer to keep track of this chart as is. There you go. So now we can have our monthly one time framing break there, which is just above. I'm actually just gonna put M. It's quite long. There you go. Okay, that's fine there. And then let's start with our plan. So daily plan, and this is from yesterday. So this is the plan from yesterday, and yesterday we had all of that. But you can see that we were looking, so this drop down here, we were looking for that drop to be 86, and you can see there. So what I was looking for the other day, and it's a very, very technical, because we gave the long back, when was that, like Monday? So on Monday we were looking for the drop to come down to that single print, the midpoint, and at the time it was 86. Okay, and you can see here, so let me just try and move this over here because price is now obviously moving higher. And the move here was looking for the 86,755. And obviously the second target was the highs there. And it was amazing to see that, you know, we had the open, we looked above, but we came straight crashing down just to fill that inefficiency, the single print. We fill the single print and it's off to the races, therefore, you know, there and after. So very technical, and we're going to try and do the same today. So I'm going to actually just change all of this to a clean one. And there you go. We're coming up to that one time framing. That one time framing break, that is the target, even for this morning. So if we can get into a trade anywhere down here, that is the target. The best thing to happen here today would be not to go there now, but it looks like it's just too. Let's have a look at the volume. Yeah, it looks like it just wants to go now, unfortunately. So it kind of like changes, because had we not got that now, any drops down to 94 could be a buying opportunity, and you can't buy this now up here. You have to wait for a little pullback. If you didn't buy lower, you really have to wait for a little pullback there, especially with the stock market also rising there. So yeah, let's go over this. So what we just did on the previous chart there was daily one time framing up, if you'll remember. So that's daily one time framing up, and then weekly also one time framing up, and monthly we are one time framing down. However, we know that that will be broken. Okay, so break. Oops. Break at, I'm just going to put at, what's the price there? 95,700, 95,705, 705. So we know we're nearly breaking that change in structure from down to up. And at this point, and I think that's going to happen today with the move of, with this move up now. And at that point, we know we're going to have, you know, all three time frames, one time framing up, And that is bullish, obviously, especially when we come off the back of hitting the daily 200 simple moving average, as you can see there. So we touched it, and then now moving back up. And this is not showing current price, but current price is already up here. So this is just showing RTH. Okay. So yeah, very nice indeed. Let's continue. So one time framing up, one time framing up, down, but break is literally just around the corner. So yesterday's profile shape for this, I'm just going to move this up a little bit and we're going to zoom right in. There you go. We have a P shape, as you can see there. So this is a P shape. So you can see the P shape here. So you got the long elongated profile, and then you have like the sort of P, and then you've got single. These are all single prints. Okay, so it's a nice and bullish profile there. And the settlement, we're going to do that now. If I mark that, let's just push this up. So the shape is a P. Oops, let's delete that. P shape. And by doing this every day, we get in sync with the market, and then we know, like, but we are prepared for what's to come. And it's very good practice to do this every day. And it's a very simple plan. And, by the end of this video, you'll be able to understand it. So we have a P shape. Let's just move the value. So value, look, where am I moving value? I'm moving value from the previous day, which was obviously Monday. This is Tuesday. So I'm moving value higher. So value is obviously higher. And I always say trade with value. If a value is building higher, then we have to trade with higher prices. We have a gap. That's a sign of change, bullish in this case. So yeah, we've just moved value higher. So value here is higher. Very, very important. It's not even overlapping. So we've got value completely higher. If this is too small, let me just change this to 16 so you can follow along better. Yeah, that's probably easier. Okay, so P shape, value higher, excess. We have really great excess here yesterday. The high, not so much, but then obviously we're already trading above. We do have somewhat okay low. Yeah, it's kind of okay within this range. Maybe we can look left to see on this day, and this obviously was it's funny because I was looking at this yesterday saying, oh, this is going to go blasted through. If you're a champion, you know. And I said I don't like that, and look at that, boom, it just breaks through those highs, and we're trading above it. But yeah, let's just look left, and look, that is the high, but we do have excess there. So let's go even left to this, and we're basically looking for non-excess above the highs, and there you go. So we do have a non-excess high, as you can see there, by just having one letter. I'm going to try and zoom in. So here on this D, you've got C, D, and that's just one print, and that is sitting at 96,625. So that could be our first target. So what we're going to put here, so excess, we have a unfinished auction. Oops, I'm just going to go back. So we got an unfinished auction. At 96. Very important, these things. This could be nice targets for highest 96 to 5. Oops, 2.5. So that could be a nice target for later. And then let's go back to price there, and you can see how it's there. So this is the unfinished auction, which sits in at 96. Sentiment, right? So easy to tell. Is the point of control above the midpoint? Yes, it is. So you can see this is the point of control from yesterday. Here's the midpoint. We're trading above it. So, you can say it's bullish. Okay. So far, we can tell just by the things we've done so far, we can absolutely tell just by doing, okay, we're one time framing up on the daily. We are one time framing up on the weekly. We are just about to break one time framing down into up on the monthly. We have a P shape, which is bullish. We have value higher, excess above, below, all finished. Sentiment is bullish. So come on, we kind of need to look for longer than this. Just by looking at that, you should not be looking for shorts, period. And that's it. Yeah. And there you go. And the last comment is from Celinda saying so many people shorting BTC, just eating them up. Well, value is higher. Why short? Super, super important just to come here every day and do this. And we do it. And if you're a champion contender, you know, every day for forever, we've been posting these tiny little plans which help us greatly. Now, let's look at the overnight. And the overnight is what happened. Hang on, like before we do that, let me just mark the point of control very quickly. So settlement, and I'm going to look at the settlement on this chart. I'm going to change it here. Let me change it. No, okay, keep it on that screen. Let me just make sure I can load it up first. Let me just load it up first here on this screen. Might take a little while because I'm not prepared for that. MBTC. Okay, so the settlement on that, wow, it was all the way at 90. Let's just keep this open. I can change it now. So look at that. The settlement last night was all the way. Let me just zoom in. Yeah, 91,660. Just refresh that. 91,660. So let's mark this. So 91,660. So that's a very key level. There you go. So right up there. Let's go down to it. I'm actually going to put this on the daily. Yeah, 91,660. And there you go. So you can see all of these shorts down here. I mean, silly bears. They're just trying to short and short and short. And what happens? I mean, look, there's just the whole day, minus 4,000 negative delta. I mean, there you go. We are coming up to it. And again, earlier, 93,630, another set of shorts down there. So yeah, gap. You can see the gap there. Okay, but the settlement is marked. So here's the settlement. And then let me just mark quickly the TPO. And we're going to do the open as well. So that's the TPO. That's going to be very good support for today. And then the open, I mean, you can see open is way higher. So we've opened there at 93,900. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, perfect. Yeah, I feel we're going to go and break one time framing down in a second. So the overnight session, we can say we've opened outside. So we're outside value completely. We are long. Okay. So what we could be looking at this is look for the rebalance going into the RTH session. And for those of you who don't understand, maybe we've got like new people watching. So I'm splitting this chart in two. So this is the overnight session, which obviously opens earlier this morning, well, last night at 23 my time. And then obviously this is the New York trading session. So from 9:30, New York time, all the way up to the afternoon. Okay, so that's what I'm splitting them into both ways. And you can see that between one and the other, we have a nice gap there. Okay. So yeah, we've opened outside yesterday's value. So yesterday's value high is at 91,900 and we open at 93. So we're completely outside value. Okay, so what we could be doing is once we get the open later, we could try and look for a move back inside, okay, at least to try and fill the gap, touch value area high, especially the settlement, because that's where it kind of closed last night. But you can see we're already, I mean, what's this, 3%, 2%? 3%. We're already 3%, 3.5% away from it. So it's very unlikely. I mean, not unless we have a massive drop, which will be a nice buy opportunity, by the way. Especially if we drop now without breaking one-time framing on the monthly. That will give us a nice kind of like carry forward level into it. Okay, so outside value, we are long. So look for that rebalance gap, sign of change. We do have a bullish gap here, so we can mark bullish. And we have two already bullish gaps. So we have this one, let me just split. So we have this one from, and I'm going to show this on TPO. So here's BTC. I'm going to just make this a little bit smaller. This is Quant Hour, by the way. And I'm going to just unsplit this. And I'm going to unsplit this profile as well. And can I go to 25? I'm going to go to 25 just very quickly so that you can see the letters better. Give me a second there. There you go. Let me just open this up. And I need to choose RTH. So give me a quick second here. Yeah, I'll go through all of the questions later, okay? Once we finish the analysis. We're nearly there anyway. And then we can start marking the levels. You can see, so this is the, yeah, there you go. So this is the daily RTH chart for BTC CME. Okay, so this is the CME, BTC. And you can see that since we broke, so we ranged here for, so 1, 2, 3, 4 days. Well, call it 5. As the arrival. We arrived and then we ranged for about 5 days. Okay, and I did attempt actually at the time a quick short here because we had finished business, meaning if we go above this, we're going to go much higher into the highs, and that is why kind of like we go from being a slight neutral bearish going into bullish, because then we can read the context differently. And here was very much like that was at the time the last level, meaning if we break that level, we're going to go much higher. As well as if we break the lows, we're going to go much lower because business was finished to the upside. But it's the gaps. Look at that. You've got gap. Sign of change is bullish. Never got filled. And then again, from yesterday, or the previous day, Monday to Tuesday, again, same thing. Gap to the upside. And you can see that P shape there, bullish P shape. This P shape will only be bearish if today, for example, we closed below that. You can then say, wow, we have amazing failed auction above, and we can start looking below these lows down here. But that is not the case. We have a breakout with gaps, so it's a sign of strength. Okay, so very, very good and important to see, and I'm sharing that information with you. So yeah, because here you would have to hide the kind of like overnight for you to see, but it still shows the candle, so it's best to show you on the professional software there. And there you go. So we have the bullish gapo as I typed there, but it's not a gapo, it's a gap. And then the tempo is actually quite fast, isn't it? We've already, you know, traveled quite a little bit this morning. So yeah, let's look at these targets then. And I'm just going to quickly move this to the left so it's out of the way. Push this over here. Adjust the chart, and we can start marking some levels. And I'm just going to open this to see. This is the weekly volume profile. And yeah, we don't have much volume now below, as expected, obviously. Here's the one time framing break on the monthly. An untested value at 98. That's been tested. Yeah, so 98. Okay, here's the gap is so far away. The only level we have here is that 98, 120. So that is an untested value. Okay. All right, let's mark these levels then. 98, 120. We also have a point of control at 98. Okay, let's mark the levels. So to the upside, the first level, it's gonna have to be right now. So 95, 705. And that is going to be that one time framing break. And we could say that if price does eventually get there this morning, we might get a little squeeze through that. And I will say that the next level will be just that one above it, which will be 96. And I'm going to just zoom in here and use the RTH for that. 96,880. I'm going to sync this. There you go. So we have that little box right there. So if we break that 95,700, I see price going straight to that 96, and I'm going to choose the midpoint of that. So between 96,625 to 96,800. So I'm going to put it 96,750. Well, 750 there. So that's going to be our second target. That's up $1,000 away. So 96,750. Okay. And I know maybe some of you are saying, oh, why not look for higher? You can look for higher. But, you know, $1,000 on BTC move is a really good move. Okay, so that's the second target there. And then the last target, again, this is a similar situation like we had before. So here you can see that when price comes to this section, it breaks through. And today, I'm just try and make this. So we go through this and we can see prices already here at 95. So if we get above there, yeah, we have to look above this high. 99, it's 100K. $97,935. And there you go. So 97, and I'm going to try and do this. I'm basically choosing, and I think this is why sometimes you'll see these levels being hit to the tick. And if you're a champion, you've seen that many times. I'm basically using a series of confluences here, which are good confluences. And I'm, I obviously, I'll keep this kind of like information for the champions, but you can see where I'm going with this. If you're a champion, know exactly what's happening here. And I think that last target, and I'm going to make an alert here, will be at that 97. Well, actually, I'm going to put 98.15, and it's going to be 98 exactly 0.15. Okay, my last target is actually 98.015. Okay, oops. So we have those three targets to the upside, meaning. Okay, so we got this one coming in imminent, this one, and then that one. Meaning that price, if we can get a little pullback, especially, okay, let's say if one, then two. If one being, if we can come down first, perfect, then we've got those as targets. If, however, we go there, break that, then the pullback might be a little bit deeper. So, just pay attention to that. If we trade higher, the pullback might not just be come down to the open, it might go all the way to the settlement. If we come down to, let's say, the open first, then we'll see that. I hope that makes sense. Please ask the question if you can't quite understand. And now let's mark the levels to the downside. Wow, we're going very quick, but at least I'm trying to break this down for you as best as I can. And below price, I'm looking at the open as a level of support, and that will come in. Let's put the .25 here at the 7.5. So I have to mark that as my first support level. So that's going to be 93.915. 93.915 will be 915. That will be the only place where I potentially would look for a long, because then you have a perfect place to anchor your stop. And what you can do here is, let's say we do drop to that open. Okay, what you could do is wait for price to go through it and reclaim it, and then you can be a little bit later, okay, but not too early. So don't buy as it's coming up to it. Can just wait a little bit. If it holds and it makes a swing low and it doesn't break this, perfect. Look for that rotation back up to the highs. And if it breaks, then you go with a second level, which will be between that coming up to the previous day high. And I prefer the previous day high. Okay, previous day high is sitting in, as you can see here, at 99,970. So we'll do that. 99,970 will be the second level. 99,970. Sorry, did I say 99? Wow, 91 I meant. 970. So that's going to be our second level. And the last one, I'm going to go with a settlement if it's not too far away from it. Well, it is a little bit too close. Basically, losing value low is bearish. Okay, so we don't want this to be lost for the bullish case. Therefore, the settlement will be, and it's going to be very close. So I'm going to go with the point of control. Okay, so the point of control is sitting in at 91,135. Okay, so 91,135. Okay, and today, do we have data? Let's have a look. What do we have today? Wednesday, we have the over in the United Kingdom, a couple of things. Tomorrow, we have durable goods, existing sales. And then on Friday, we have the retail, but nothing too major going on. So we don't have to mark these data releases. Risk management, always, look for those nice trades and discipline. So that's the BTC local levels covered, okay? If you have questions for higher time frame targets, I will say that right now, and the best way to do this is with this chart, and those will be the targets, so we don't have to mark these anymore. I can hide this in the gaps there, so let's go with that. There you go. So in terms of height, so the levels I just shared are for local time frames, okay? But if you want the higher targets, then we're gonna have to look at you know, like, you can't be buying here where we are. In fact, we're a little bit higher now, but you can't be buying up here where you are. You need to wait for a little pullback. And I will say that the best place will be at least coming back down to retest that 90K, at least 90K gap fill, at least just one gap. And that big place will be around here. And then the second place will be, you know, the 200 SMA. If you're looking at this from a swing kind of like viewpoint, and I think this you have to exclude as a deviation, okay, here into the 200 SMA, and you'll have to use a low like this. So 1, 2, 3. I can show something else, but I don't really like it. So yeah, it's looking at anywhere between 85 and 90K. So that's kind of like a nice support level to have on your charts. Oops, wrong. Oh yeah, right chart. So yeah, I mean, for those pullbacks, you can see that the best one is what I've got here, which is the gap. So we don't have to go all the way to the lows. That's why I'm excluding the 200 SMA and just putting a line from here to this low here, which brings us up to around this, depending on how long we spend up here. You know, this then becomes a little bit better, where you can then look for a potential long trade. You've got this range. In fact, let's just go with that. There you go. It's the 50 SMA. It's 87K. So 87K will be a really, really good level of support for more of a swing. So where everybody's going to get excited as we come up to here, you know, you look for that nice, you know, long trade here where you can take much higher into the all-time high. So, you know, no longs here. Okay, where we are right now, this is a place to potentially take day trade longs, scalp longs that can actually run a little bit, especially with squeezing traders. But you can't take a long trade here expecting that, because, you know, if you take the long here expecting that, your stop must be down here, and that is a 50-50 risk to reward. It's not a good trade, basically. Okay, so, you know, just know where you are within the range, and we can delete that. And this one as well. But yeah, that 87K is a nice swing level, and then that 87 can then, you know, be enough to push us at least higher through that 100K. Okay, hope that makes sense. And what I'm going to do now is, because we are here and we finished with BTC local targets, and I'm going to set a couple alerts. So the first one at the first level, which was at 915. So I'm going to set an alert here. That's my first support level, and then I want to know about the one time framing break when it happens, and that's at 700. So let's mark one at 700. Oops. And then I'll take a look at the questions, and then we can jump over to ES potentially, or I'll get you to choose. Actually, I'll get you to choose between ES and gold. Okay, yeah, that's it, and then you can choose. That's it. That's the second level. I'm gonna mark just the first two. Okay. And there you go. Let's take a look at some questions. And my camera, for some reason, turned off. So let's turn it back on. I think maybe. Okay, perfecto. Right, I can now see the chat. Let me go back. Okay, so just going back to the beginning. So let me know if you want ES or gold. Okay, so that's the first question, and then obviously any questions you might have. Igor previously say good is spot is 72 or above 90. Yeah, exactly. So, and that is why I was saying 72K being max Spain, and then obviously 92, it's a reclaim. So you can see where we're going with that. It's either being too early and you know, being stopped out, or being a little bit late, but then you kind of like, you have a little bit more, you know, conviction, and the low is in. Okay, so that's why that 72 or 92K. Long and strong, absolutely, I agree with that. I from Lithuania, hello. When BTC short, not right now. We are changing one time framing up on the daily, one time framing up on the weekly, and we are nearly about to change one time framing up on the monthly. So, you know, you can't be shorting when you've got all of that in confluence. No, unless it's for a day trade, which is fine. Bora Bora, when alt season? Oh, that is a funny question. New all time on BTC, in your opinion? Absolutely, that's on the cards, and I am sure. Well, not sure. It's not sure, but you know, it is. The odds for a new all time high are, you know, really good. I mean, look at gold. You still want that 96k retest? 96, maybe not 96, but I would say, yeah, 96 would be nice, but I would prefer to see a little pullback this morning so that we could obviously get into a nice day trade long. But I think, you know, when it comes to BTC, the best trades are just below the open, at the open. Okay, good morning, Igor. I hope you, yeah, I'm very well, thank you. How do you prepare for any swing trade when the fill range could be wide? Okay, that's simple. And think about it with like, let's just use one BTC, for example. If you feel like one BTC, let's say the range is between, 87 and 89, you've got a 2K range here. Let's say that is the range and you want to fill one BTC. Well, you have to, if that is your trade and you want to limit in, for example, which there's nothing wrong with it, what I suggest you do, and it's not financial advice, obviously, is just weigh your bigger size towards the lower part of the move, meaning like you go with 0. Break it down. This is just an example. Break that down to 0.1, then 0.1, 0.1, keep laddering, and then at the lower part of it, like where you have the point of control here, so let's say 87 would be your, optimal entry, go with 0.4, and then just above that, not 0.6, make that weighted towards the latter part of the move so that your average is lower, therefore better risk to reward, and then you can accumulate a better stop. And that is, if it's too wide, then you're gonna have to use a much smaller position size. So instead of going with, let's say, the full position size, go with half if the range is too greater. That's how I would do it. Okay, so it's always about that risk management. Glenn Jackson, so much alpha. You are very welcome. And by the way, that is a very good way of doing a morning update. Okay, this, in my opinion, it's a really good way because you're covering, and look, it took us what, 20 minutes? You covered the whole thing, and then you've got a nice solid plan. You've got key levels, okay, and it's not like every level is a trade. No, the upper targets, okay, these are targets. The upper are targets for long trades because of this here. So I'm not saying long or short those levels. Those levels are not to be shorted. To be fair, they often give good reactions because they are good levels, okay? But, while the market's making higher highs and higher lows, well, you have to look for longs. And those longs come in the pullback. So the first one will be at least down to that 93, which seems far away, but can happen. You could keep an eye there on the midpoint and VWAP. That little 94,320 is the VWAP, but at that point I'd be like, okay, give me a fade below the VWAP into daily open, and then give me a swing low here. I can then get into a trade long and go up to that one time framing break on the monthly. So a very good plan here, very good way of doing it. Good morning. That's okay, Paul. I can still see it there. Good morning. When do you expect a pullback, Europe? New York. Yeah, the New York session is typically what gives you that pullback, going from 12, I would say 12, this is UK time, from 12 all the way up to 2:30, 3 o'clock PM. That's when you typically see that nice pullback. And, look at this. You've seen it even yesterday, a couple of days back. You get the open, look at that, you get the open, and then you come straight back inside, and then you start the slow grind up. Typically, you get that. Okay, going through the questions now. 95 is an important level. Let me just move this down. Yeah, it's the one time framing break, 95,700. Okay. I remember Igor is charting on the CME. So values, yes, values will be different, but what you can do is set an alert on the CME. And then when that alert goes off on the CME, just portray that information over to whatever exchange you're trading, and it's going to be thereabouts. Okay. That's how I do. What is the level to watch? I'm hoping you're watching the stream, so you know. What's going to be your invalidation for that trade? Well, with any trade, your invalidation is going to always be different than mine. So when it comes down to the level, go back to what I just explained, like depending on your position size, then you can, you know, get your invalidation. But typically you want to go to higher lows back at least, or a place where you see the market not wanting to go down and clean. For example, let me just expand this to the left. Let's say the market is coming down. Look, you've got a massive, this is Bitcoin. You've got a gap, as you can see there, you've got that gap. Let's say you're coming down to the open, what we just marked. You can already see actually here that that open trade may not be the best because of the series of like poor lows here. Okay, so you can just wait for price to come down. Let's say we then go through that open, hold, go, that's fine. Then you can just use that as your stop. The thing on BTC is stops don't have to be very wide. You can just be a bit more patient and wait for the formation. And the formation can be as simple as a swing low. And that's just a series of 5 candles. Okay, so it's not too difficult if you know what you're looking for, obviously. But yeah, I would say that settlement, look, settlement value around that 91. What was that second level? 91,970. Downside 93, 91, 970, 90. Yeah, around this here, that would be a nice place. Okay, 91, 970. I like that. And then you can use your stop to your, you know, risk parameters. Okay, can we see your MA settings? Moving average simple. That's it. There's nothing in there. Can you increase the text, please? I think I did that, and I can do that again one more time. So let me know if that's okay. That way you can, I can share, if you want, at the end of the stream, I can share this super chart with you so you can have this. Let me know in the chat. If you want me, I can share this for the next day, and then you can have all of these settings, okay? Everything will be this exactly the same. I can do that. Let me know in the chat. So many people short. Yeah, okay, we went through that. Are you okay? Hope you can you please explain when and why do you decide to wait for a 5-minute or 30-minute close? All right, that's a very good question, Marcos, and I will use a 5-minute, okay, instead of a 30-minute if the tempo or the momentum is too fast. If it's too fast, then you know you're going to miss if you're on a 30-minute. So if it's too fast, go down. I sometimes go down as little as 30 seconds and look for a swing low and a swing high on a 30-second chart with a line. Okay, I know for some of you will be like, whoa, that's a little bit too steep. But trust me, when it's really like moving fast, you can drop down to a 30-second chart, pop a line chart like this. You pop a line chart and look. So this is a round VWAP down here. Let me just go. And you can see, like, let me just show you. I'm going to try and zoom in. And there you go. Look, see this here? This is a 30-second chart with a line. Okay, you come up to that VWAP here. You get one touch, come back down. Another touch, come back down, already breaking low. So this dot and this dot, it's already breaking. So the structure is already shifting. And then you come all the way back up here. And that can be your short trade, you know, on the second, third touch of the VWAP. And then look, you have a small risk, okay, like of a few ticks, and then you can target the next series of lows, which in this case sits around here. So if you go with 10 lots, for example, here, let's go with 10 lots. You can go from, you know, the high down to that low, and there you go. So with 10 lots, just with only a few ticks, that's already $230. So, and the fees on the CME are much, 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 much lower than they are on any exchange, really, for that matter, not unless you've got some sort of VIP status. But yeah, 30 seconds, you know, worked really well. Okay, there you go. Can you also see? I'll share the template. Let me know. Can you look at gold? Yes. Okay, gold. No, I'm not going to look at all coins. It's either the stock market, you know, I go for where the money is. Gold. Okay, we'll take a gold then instead. Volume should be okay. Maybe check your computer. Brother, text something instead of okay. Because there is one of the two. A case. Okay, if one then two. Yes. 96,500 is also the fib down. So I'm just going through the questions. Let's see if there's not too many there. Okay, yeah, gold. Looks like gold will be the one. Really nice overview. What about uni? I'm gonna skip the requests. Okay, so ES and then gold. Looks like gold. So we'll do gold then. And it's good because I don't have any levels on gold, because I deleted everything for the stream, so we can start from scratch. Okay, Juan Duarte, if you... Okay, so that's someone is replying. Okay. Sem Analysis says that BTC can go up to 10... What? Can go up 10K this year. BTC is already up nearly 10K. Yeah, it's already up nearly 10K. Or you mean 100K. Yeah, smash the likes, people. I can see people requesting on the chat, so that, yeah, do that. I'm just going through the chat questions. Nice update, but I don't understand it. You know, if you don't understand, just ask. What don't you understand? Nvidia's up $100, yeah. 102, I think it is. Let me just have a quick look very quickly. Yeah, $100, around $100 there, Nvidia. Yeah, 104 this morning. Yeah, earlier it was 102 when I first checked. That's the first thing I did this morning. But yeah, moving up nicely. Okay, and keep it there. Yes, I do look at ARC, but I'm keeping that information for the champions. Thoughts on Nvidia? Yeah, Nvidia. I mean, any level on Nvidia is a nice long term. Yes, sure, great, please share the chart. Okay, good. Sorry, I'm just catching up, making sure I've got, I have to learn a lot. Always the same, people wait for the pullback, close the head crumbs, then price rise, and it lets everyone sideline. Yeah, this is why every day you have to come in and do your plan like we've just done, because every day there's new opportunities and you want to see that. Look, I think if you can go from the mindset, oh, I've missed the move, to the mindset of, great, I now have nice confirmation that this move is sustainable. It's good. It's a sign of strength. And then when you come over to your charts and you see, you know, gap up, just be aware of those things. You know, I've got a gap up, you know, momentum is higher, you've got value building higher. You can say to yourself, wow, down here, it was a little bit mixed. It was sideways, it was slow, not meaningful. Yeah, in the range, you can short the highs, long the lows, etc. You know, you can do the value rotations. But here you've got momentum. This is what traders want. This only happens like, you know, 20 to 30% of the time, like 70% of the time we're ranging. So this is that momentum that we need. So what you have to do is change the perspective of, oh, I missed the move, to, where's my next entry opportunity? Not thinking mega, but thinking locally, daily. You know, these are the daily bread and butter setups that we look for every day that really stack up. And I always say to the champions, like, you know, just think about trading as a business, and like, you have a stack of cash, okay, on your wallet, on your account, or whatever account, broker, and you just want to keep increasing that each and every day by something, by a little something. And it's like every time you get into this trade or that trade, you have to go into it with a mindset of, how can I protect that, instead of how, you know, I want to make X. No, you want to protect what you have, and that comes down to what? Risk. So, you know, you will only get in here, and that's why I always say, be a little bit late, but be sure, meaning, or at least have a bit of more odds that that's going to stick, meaning wait for that. At least you've got the arrival candle, let's say through the level, through the daily open, and then you get a little pullback down through the level, and then you've got the next candle closing higher, at least here. And when you see that, you can say, okay, Now, instead of having a 5% stop loss, and because I was too early and I didn't know where it was going to stop here, or here, you can go, okay, well, look at that. I now have a little shift here on the 30-minute time frame or 5-minute time frame. I can use this as my stop and I can take this move. And then you can go with the trend. The trend is up and there you go. And then you've gone from missing moves to actually being in day trades. And then as soon as it gets to your targets, you got two options. One, you can collapse the trade, make your money and call it a day. Or the second option, which is my favorite, is you can box it in. Meaning, let's say you did get into the trade here. Let's say we did come back and the open held 3 candles and then we start trading higher. These are the bars, okay? Let's say you're in that trade and then we're coming up to that target. You got 2 options. One, take your trade, pay yourself, and then come back tomorrow. That's very good, nothing wrong with that. And that was your risk. So the trade would look something like this. Let's go from here. So your trade would look something like this, and there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, good trade. All right, but you can do the following. You can say, okay, here's my target, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my stop now, and I'm going to move it from here, and I'm going to get my stop all the way up here. If price, okay, goes through, remember, 1 time framing break on the monthly, we could get a nice push through. Why? Because there's going to be stops here. If price gets there and goes boom, rips to 96, well then you've already made another $1,000, okay, range, and all you're doing is just putting your stop higher, putting your stop higher, putting your stop higher, and have no target. And then maybe you have a situation where, you know, when we shared the levels at the 775, you have a situation where, you know, each and every morning you're coming in and you got higher low, higher high, higher low, higher low, and it's doing this, and you're still what? Boxing in your trade. You're still moving that box trade stop loss higher and higher and higher, and you've not been topped off. Meaning that the first time that you do get a stop, you can then say to yourself, perhaps the trend is changing now because I've been, you know, capturing this move and now I've been stopped out. You will get stopped out eventually, but you might get stopped out a little bit later, which is great. So basically keep your runners running. And there you go. That's my 2 cents about that. So, you know, change your mindset. Okay, and then let's look at gold. Yes, a lot of people saying gold. Okay, and golden. Yes, let's do the smiley face. Anyway, perfect. Yeah, and let me know if you enjoy the analysis so far. And yeah, let's take a quick look at gold. I'm actually going to look gold as well on this chart, so we can load it here, so we are ready for gold. GC futures, we'll load everything there. I'm going to put this on a daily, and I'm going to do it here. So here's BTC, and then let's go over to gold. So GC. And I might have to change just a few things here if it's not working properly with the tick size, but it looks like it is. 24 hours. Okay, I think this I'm going to go on the daily. Yes. And again, let's bring the candles in. Let's go monthly. Okay, and I'm just loading on my other chart as well. I'm going to put full. Going to do this full session, and this is gold candles, and I'm going to go on a 30-minute on here, and I'm going to plot a couple of moving average, and this is the liquidity map, which I like to use. So let's just make that a little bit smaller. We don't need it that big because we need a chart space. Okay, so here's gold. Okay, so the all-time high yesterday, 3,510. Okay, so let's just analyze this very quickly. We have, what time was that? That was at 7 a.m. Okay, so it's a good time. The high was put in, and we actually have excess. So we have a nice selling tail. So that's good. That means that it can stick, meaning it can stay there for a little bit longer. Okay. And 1 time framing down all the way up to the close settlement at 3,420 ish. Okay, so that's a very, very good level there. But today, so far, we are building value all the way lower. Okay, so we're outside yesterday's value, which sits in at 3,425 as well as the settlement. So that level there is very, very crucial. Claiming already, just by looking at this chart, claiming for 3,420 is bullish. So you want to see at least two, I would say 2 candle closes here, 30 minutes, and then you could look for the 95s. Okay, and that would be something like on the chart, it would be something like this. Let's say that this is the low, and let's look left. Not quite taken yet. Doesn't have to. It doesn't have to take this low. Look at that spike in volume. Let's have a look at this. Actually, let me refresh it again. There you go, that's better. Give me a second there. Okay. So it will look something like so. Let's say we do reclaim that settlement and weekly VWAP. That can bring the move straight all the way back up to 95. Okay. So, you know, a lot of people want to catch the bottom and it makes a new low, and it's like, okay, I've lost that trade. Instead of waiting for price to say, I want to go higher now, meaning like I want to reclaim at least this swing high, because you typically want to go 2 back. So you've got 1, 2. So this would be if you have if you're short, this is where you would want to have a good safe stop. Because if market claims that, you know, it's kind of like changing the bearishness to bullishness, meaning that as soon as you claim that previous day settlement, you could just look for that full rotation up to value high, which sits in around 95. Okay, so that would be already what we can do that. But let's take a look at the higher time frame. You know, it's always better. So that's the 3,510 that we've just looked. It's got excess. It's looking good, and it's a nice level. So, you know, is it a top? Currently, let's have a look. So on the monthly, 1 time framing higher. On the weekly, 1 time framing higher. And on the daily, we have broken previous day low. So we have, you know, a market that went from 1 time framing higher to now 1 time framing lower on the daily. But apart from that, every other level is still 1 time framing higher. Okay. So what we can do here is pop an anchor text there and change this to daily recap and preparation, and we can do the same thing again. So daily 1 time framing down has just been broken. Okay, weekly up, and daily and monthly up. So we up. The profile shape yesterday, I think I'm going to look at this on here. It's a very long shape, right? So you have a very long, and you have excess on both sides. I would say is more of a B. I mean, for that we can actually go, let's go 25 ticks. Let's see if we got like a kind of a D shape. Yeah, it looks more like a, I mean, it resembles the P, but because the bottom part of it at 90s is too thick, like you've got what, how many prints you have in here? You got 5 prints, 6 prints as well. So it's not really like a P shape, right? For the P shape, you'd have to have at least 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, but you have more than that. So yeah, it looks a bit more like a D, right? It's not a B for sure, so it's a D, kind of like a D shape-ish, elongated D shape, if that makes any sense. What's going on here? D shape. Okay, D shape. And value in relation to yesterday, we are lower this morning. Okay, so value is lower. Okay, and we can check this here as well. So you've got value trading lower. Okay, we can still split the sessions in half, but I would say that we do, for the bullishness now, we would have to claim some levels above price. You know, I wouldn't be trying to catch falling knives here on gold. I would wait for a reclaim, then go with the trade higher. So in other words, prefer to be a little bit late on this trade, because yeah, value is in relation to, yeah, it's higher there. So we've got higher, and let's take a look here. So we go from high to high, and then this morning we're already low. Okay, but if we look just at yesterday's profile, because look, this profile is not closed yet. So what we can do, and this is why splitting the range in two is good. So let's try and do that here as well so that we get a right context. Let's go with RTH only, and then let's see exactly what we have. So let's go overlapping. Okay, so it gives us a different story, right? So you've got like low. Okay, so I'm going to write overlapping on this because you've got 1, 2, and then 3. You can see there 2 overlapping here, but overlapping to lower. Okay, so that's kind of like shifting. So it's not completely higher or lower, it's overlapping to lower. If you can't understand that, let me know. Oops. Lower. Okay, and then we do have a nice tail. We have a nice tail on both profiles, so there's no really auctions here, not unless we have some to the downside. So let's take a quick look. So that one is good, which is the next one in terms of like where price is now. So it's good here. And then let's go all the way down to 3,200. That's also good. So we don't have any poor lows until we go all the way down to 2,988. So that's a long way out. Okay, so just below $3,000. So the next poor low on gold is at 3,000, which happens to be the value area low. So this is a poor low. Okay, so if I just mark this as a poor low down there, so that's sitting in at 2,970, but you can see that's really far away from price now. Okay, apart from that, everything else here is efficient, and therefore means that we can't be looking for those levels. They're too far away from price. It's not important. Okay, and I would say that then reclaiming these series of lower highs is the best place. So kind of like stay out for now, wait for price to either reclaim, reject VWAP and make another lower low here, and then reclaim later. So plenty of time there. But let's continue with this. So overlapping to lower, we have finished auctions around. The next one is too far away. I'm just going to see, look, sentiment. Okay, this is important, and this is why we're getting continuation to the downside this morning. You can see the point of control is at 3,432. We then have yesterday's session. We come in and look at the point of control. The point of control, so the midpoint is here. So midpoint is 3,420. But look at the point of control. The point of control is all the way down at 97. So midpoint, settlement, and point of control is all the way down. So that is a more of a bearish sentiment, right? And obviously this morning you're already trading down here at 3,340. Just by looking at the point of control and sentiment shifting from going higher to then shifting lower. And then this morning you get the retest there, and then you already move lower because it's the point of control, right? Literally, look. So 3,996, point of control at 97, right? POC of this day, 97.05, okay, right there. And then you literally open this morning below price down here, you do the retracement into the point of control, look right there, and then now you're getting the next rotation lower on low volume. So very crucial information there. So yeah, the sentiment for yesterday was bearish because we had, even though we traded on a new all-time high, at the end of the day we closed with the point of control all the way at the lows. It's clear, right? Right there. So I know there's quite a lot of I mean, I can hide. I'll tell you what, let me just do this just so that you really understand this bit. Super important. There, I'm going to hide all of these and I'm going to put none. There you go. Can you see? This is the midpoint, and then this is the point of control. We got 6 prints, 6. So 1, 2, 4, 5, and then here we got 6 prints, meaning one single print, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the point of control. It's not up here, is it? It's low, meaning bearish sentiment. Okay, we can go back to oh, it doesn't matter. I'll leave it for now. Okay, so let's put bearish there. Okay, overnight, let's mark this. We open outside value from yesterday. Okay, so that's the full session open. So we're below price, so open outside. So we could be looking for a retracement later back inside, but we already kind of had that really. So you open, you already had that value low retest, as you can see there. So, value low We tested with a point of control as well, and you can see here on TradingView, you actually had the point of control a little bit lower. Can you see the point of control here at 90 on Quantower or on order flow software? It was sitting at around that 97, so that's 95, 95.50, 97.50. It was sitting around here, so a little bit higher there, but I'm using a higher tick size on this, obviously. But there's a difference. Okay, so higher, bearish, outside, we are short. Okay, so here's the thing. So you have, yes, we are rolling over, but you are completely outside value and you are short. So we could look for that counter trend trade later. So this is something that you can carry forward going into the later session, and then see if we can get a nice retracement again. But I feel like the range is quite expanded now, meaning that if we do go back inside, we could actually get a full rotation back up to that 3,430. Okay, so we don't have a gap there, so no gap. Momentum is kind of fast, to be honest, so it's nice, tradable. And let's look for a few levels right now. So I'm going to do the downside first, because obviously we're going lower. I always like to do that first. So we have this low, which is the first of the 7th low, as well as the previous value, sitting in at 3,296. So that's going to be my first level to the downside. 3,296.50. 50. Okay. So that's going to be the first level there of support. And then below that, you can just see the singles. So we've got singles all the way to be filled down to 3,062 for that. Let me just go with 24. We're already below that. Let's see if we look at the next one. We're back testing it. Too far away. That's the low. So yeah, that becomes the best level. And below that, we're going to have to go all the way. Oh, look at that. Perfect. So I kind of arrive at the same level by looking at this chart. So there you go. So my second level is 63. So add an alert and let's put it there. So 3,263 exactly. Okay, and I think the last level has to be the 3,224. So 3,224, and I'm going to go to 5, and that is going to be all the way at value low. Okay, and that's quite far away, all the way. Actually, it's coming in a little bit lower. Let me just have a look. Yeah, 24.6. Let's put 24.6. Okay. And now to the upside. I would say my preferred scenario would be to see another rotation, but we do have the singles. We did not break the low. A little bit tricky. A little bit tricky, because if we do start reclaiming the point of control from this morning, we could get that rotation back, and then we've got the range low formed for the week. So Monday, Tuesday. I think claiming the downtrend of the trend line can be the bullish sign, and reclaiming that value. I think I'm going to reclaim. I'm going to stick to the reclaim of value, because that's going to give me two things. First one, it's going to give me price below the open. Okay, so that's the first one when we reclaim this. And the second one is we have attempted to go back inside value, meaning that we can then look for the full rotation of the actual day, which sits at 95. Okay, 95 is actually a little bit higher there. Yeah, 95. Okay, so in a sense, acknowledging that we are now on a downtrend, shifting, but if we reclaim that value, down here at 85, between 80 and 85, that is a sign of strength. And then on the weekly perspective, you've got weekly open, down, and then we want to go through the open and go and reclaim it, and then obviously finish bullish because we are still bullish, apart from the daily that we are just looking below price. Okay, I hope that makes sense as well. I'll keep the trend line there for reference, and let's mark the levels to the upside. So I will say, let me just do something very quickly here. Yeah, it's 79. So the first level I'm going to use as VWAP. So we're coming up to it. And let me just take a quick look at this. So let's go back to neutral. So this is going to be a level, but I want to see, there's the open, there's the level there. We do have VWAP incoming now. Let's take a look at the order flow. Between 45 and 50. Yeah, 50. I'm going to go with 50. Although it's not my favorite. Yeah, 49. 49.5. I like this one. I'm going to set an alert there. We might get that. So it's going to be 349.50 there. I mean 0.5, whatever you want to call it, which is coming in anytime now. So let's mark an alert there. 0.5. Second is going to be, we're literally coming into it as we speak, but I'm seeing this as a potential low formed, because this low then brings much kind of like a bit more bearish, that we can expect the much lower prices 1 and 2, so 1, 2, 3 into the singles. So yeah, reclaiming this, so we might need to wait, you know, a couple of periods here to then get either the swing formation high or accept an inside, which can then bring the back to value trade. Okay, because currently you're below, as you can see there, bearish below, and outside value is all the way up there. So price tends to look for value, and value here, as you can see, is higher. So we're here at 46. 50 is resistance. You're going through those levels there into that 49.50. But then value is all the way at 87. And 87, then if we can accept in there, then that's the bullishness, okay? Because we already rejected that point of control early this morning. So we have traded here already, okay? Meaning that it's kind of likely that we accept and try and push back inside that value. And that value is going to have to be my second target, not the open. So that value is sitting in at 338, and I'm going to go with 83. And then lastly will be, if we accept in there, I'm looking for a full rotation up to 35 at least. There's 35. Let me just see where the point of control is, and then we could look for a different trade. It's 32. So the range is this range here. But in TPO is 35, so I'm going to go with 35. It's just above it, so it is 35. So 38, no, 34, 35, 34, 35. And that will be just slightly above that 32 there. Okay, so let me mark a quick alert just below price. And another one below at the range low. Basically, there's a trade in the making as we speak. And I think you can see there that we can use this plan on any market and arrive at some nice levels for trading. Back to the chats. And okay, so there's, as requested, your analysis on gold. Yeah, smash the likes. Amazing, mate, as usually. Thank you very much. And there you go. We're coming into that 50. Possible for gold to be leading BTC for a move down, don't you think? I feel gold is still bullish. Today is going to be a good day to monitor. There you go. We're going through that 50 now. Today is going to be a good day to see if gold can go back inside value, because if that's the case and we can see this volume still increasing into it, there you go, we're going through. Can you see how sometimes it's best to just kind of like set your alert and then monitor that reaction? And we've got always time for the trade, okay? But we've taken the low, so now you really want to see like price getting acceptance. I would prefer like to entertain the long trades, meaning we've got those longer values. And we already traded below the open already, okay? So the second trade back to it, it's never the best one. The first trade, good. Second trade, okay. And the third trade is like a no-go zone, okay? So we're going through that level now. We want to see a nice confirmation there and rejection. Okay. Let me just go back a little bit. I think I've missed quite a bit of a text there. Oh yeah, quite a bit actually. Hang on, give me a second. Okay, found it. Oh, the same people. Yeah, okay, yeah. Nice updates. Okay, yeah, we went through that. Okay, found it. Okay, I will share the template, yes, and then you can have all of those levels marked, including gold. Great update, thank you. Okay, so I contacted TradingView, Pablo, and 24 hours instead of the daily. So when you place 24 hours and you enable RTH, it's only going to show you the session. It's the same as having an 8-hour chart, okay? And daily will only show you the daily, okay? You can't enable 24. You can't enable RTH with the daily chart. You can only do that if you have an 24-hour. Okay. BTC needs to go to 72 to get enough liquidity to go to all-time high. Typically, BTC does need liquidity to get to another all-time high, but I will say that the moment the Fed drops the rates, they'll probably drop it thick and fast. It's when BTC will just make his move. BTC is a risk asset, so as soon as interest rates come down, it's gonna fly. It's always been that way anyway. With less of that on TradingView, having TPO and volume charts, do you think you could trade using? Yes, absolutely. Yeah, TradingView is becoming slow and steady one of the best platforms. And there you go. So when you're looking at the camera switch off for some reason, I'll just put it back on. So when you're looking at order flow, so look here on Quant Tower, that 350 level that we were looking for a potential resistance around VWAP, you can see that the low time frame structure, okay, with the context that we've gone through, it's giving us no shorts whatsoever, because you're getting the buy still. Like, you're going through those levels and you're making higher highs and higher lows. And this is not a 1 minute chart, 2 minute chart. This is a tick by tick chart. And this is no different to BTC. When BTC gets to one of our levels, we pull this chart up, or a 30-second chart, which is very, very similar. And we watch that formation. And look, here's since we've turned this on, it's like higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, another higher low, into that 50 level. We want to see this potentially, for example, for any shorts, we want to see this potentially lose this low, okay, a retest of those 40s, and then lose that low again. So in other words, 1 and 2 lows. And that is when you can say, okay, this is changing now into our level, and that can take another 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes. And then you can say, okay, I'll go now. You go a little bit lower, but you have a high. Instead of like saying it could have been done here. Oh, I'll go now. But you haven't broken any significant lows. So this is why it's so important to have order flow with context, and then you can see, okay, at least I've got the market participants here, going with my trade idea as well, because currently, we are coming into the 50, but it's an aggressive short, so you don't take it, especially with the context that we can go back inside value and then do the full rotation. So very important there to see in real time. Okay, thank you for gold. You are very welcome. Thank you. That's fine. Perfect. Thank you. I will post the BTC plan on Discord in text. Yes, absolutely. And I'll make a couple of remarks there as well. Daniel talked about alt season will only happen when BTC, when ETH shows strength. ETH for the past, however long I remember, it's been between that 2K range. So if it's asleep, I mean, look at this. Let me just go to a normal chart. I've got NVIDIA here. Let me just go to crypto. Let me show you this. I might have to. There you go. Look at this chart. I'm going to go with the monthly, yeah. And I'm going to go ETH. Look at ETH. Okay, so ETH back in 2021. Okay, I'm going to make a big line here. Back in 2021, there you go. We were at 1800. Call it 2K. You know, fast forward, and then that's the high, that's the low. Fast forward, okay, so 21, 22, 23, 24, and here we are, 2025. We are still at 1800. We can say that for the past however long it's been, we are still in the same place. Whereby when you go and check, for example, let's say BTC, this is a total different chart. So, you know, if it's just asleep, it's doing nothing. The same time, so since 2021, BTC has, that's the same line. BTC has done what it needed to do, the range at 50K, 60, broke out, retested the range high, 200 SMA on the CME, and it's now heading back inside that big range that we've just left. So BTC is and will always be like, you know, the big one. If it's just asleep, I mean, look at this. It's a horrible chart. Like, you know, it's tradable, but you're gonna have to be very patient. I mean, you might as well just trade Solana and Sui. You know, these at least move. I mean, this thing is up 10% today. It's ridiculous. I would say if not interested. You know, perfect. Sui, Solana, and BTC. I think these are the three alts that, you know, you can keep an eye on. Anything, I mean, yeah, there's money to be made, but I think ETH is just asleep, and that's probably a good thing. When he wakes up, it might get going, and then you can look for that, you know, at least 5,000. That would be the logical target, and potentially this is a good place to buy, especially with the SFP. So it could look, there's the odds now for that alt season to start are actually quite good. But I would say this chart needs to reclaim this and then start to come above at least 2,400 to then so that you can say, okay, this is aggressive buy, however good, if you want to put your stop here. But I would say, give me a little bit more strength. Show me that you really want to get going. And then we can say, okay, this is the trade that we can take up to that 5,000. And then that's when you see those alts really making, you know, 3, 4, 5x. But then when you look at this chart now moving 2% and you've got Sui moving 10% at a fraction of the price, you know what kind of like makes more sense if you're looking long term. So, you know, say no more. There you go. That's that. Greetings from Berlin. Hello. If you can get a pullback, right? Short leverage. Sorry, what? Now short term. No, I wouldn't take any shorts now. Golden Eagle, do you think this might? Yes, nice. Good morning, mate. Glad I find English speaker. No idea how happy this makes me. Oh, you are very welcome. You can find us at Chart Champions. We are there every day, posting these charts and sharing analysis with you guys. So that's very good, and every so often we do a stream here on YouTube just to show you guys what we do. Yes, as Simon says, smash the likes. Honestly, it really helps the community grow, because we are changing a lot of people's lives around. I mean, you know, just pop in and have a look. Missed that part. Personal premium trainer, Eager Nuggets, as always. You are very welcome. Possible gold for leading BTC. Oh yeah, we did that earlier. Which paid plan on TradingView would you recommend? Victoria, I go for the premium. That's what I have, and I always wait for either the Easter sale and the Black Friday. And if you do it every year, pay for the whole year, and it's about 200. I will quote $220, but I think it's less than that. And you get the whole premium, meaning that you get TPO, you get all of this, you get like the order flow. I mean, like the clusters on TradingView now. I mean, this is a weekly chart. You can do this on the daily, on the 30 minutes or whatever. This is amazing. Like, I mean, this is just like we have an order flow software like this. This is a little bit more granular, more precise, but TradingView is literally right there. I mean, this is amazing. Like to have this kind of like stuff and on the markets, and then when you couple that with TPO, we've got like the TPO here. Let's go to a 30 minutes. It's amazing. Let me just see if it loads. I might have to just change. Yeah, there you go. So coupling with TPO, especially when you like zoom in a little bit and you can see, there you go. I think this is great. Yeah, really good, in my opinion. So yeah, it's definitely worth $200 for the year to get all of this information. Order flow softwares like Quantower, you know, you'll set you back $100 at least minimum a month. So yeah, it makes sense to have trading view, and you can trade straight from it. Any broker at the moment, like you can trade AMP, Optimus, prop firms as well. So you can trade anything from it, and test your theories on a sim mode. Okay, so yeah, so premium. You are very welcome. Okay, so we are coming to the end of this, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to give you the opportunity for one request, and we can just have a quick look, and that can be an altcoin or anything, just one time only. Let's go, one request. So if you want me to look at something right now, let me know in the chat and we'll do it very quickly. And yeah, and when I wrap it up, I will paste, actually I'll do it now. Okay, so I will do it now for you all. I will save this. Okay, I'm going to share this for 2 hours. So you have 2 hours, and I'm going to paste this link in the chats. I can't quite do it now. Give me a second. Hang on, give me a second. I will post this link in the chat. So if you have premium, you can use this exactly. And if you switch between this, okay, give me a second there. If you switch between, hang on, I'm going to have to just go to here. Give me a second, because I'm going to post that, and I've realized I have to do it on this channel, but I do have different accounts selected, so give me a quick second. Okay, so switch account to, hang on, here. Give me a second. Hang on, give me a second. It's getting there. There we go. I'll post that link and we'll be live for 2 hours. Okay, so oops, there you go. Okay, so that's a super chart link. I've just posted it. You then delete what you don't need, and there's quite a lot of drawings and files in there. So it's being shared, and I'll turn it off in 2 hours. So make a copy, and I can close that chart now and go to this computer. Okay, so let's take a look and see what next. Fart coin. No, it stinks. NQ, Peloton, NQ, ADA, Sol, NQ. Okay, I can see NQ. Okay, yeah, a lot of people NQ. Okay, turbo for the win. All right, let's take a quick look at NQ. Well, actually, we've got NQ set on this screen, so might as well just stay there. Okay, let's just go over NQ then. And I'm going to just quickly, I was actually on a long trade earlier on NQ, so that's nice. So this is still there. Okay, a little pullback here. Oh, we did continue making higher high. Look at that. I did got stop, and then we still made those high. I kind of wanted to see that, but let's go to NQ. Look at that. Beautiful. Yeah, trading can be, let me go to a 15-minute here. Actually, let's start on the 30-minute. I'll do on Quantower enough to change the scene a little bit. And I do like gold reclaiming that VWAP now, because we are breaking that trend line down. Let's have a look here. Yeah, so this was the move I wanted to be involved earlier before the stream when we started at 9. So I was going with this break up to the, well, initially the high here, which kind of like sits exactly at that. Oh, look at that, beautiful. And you can't make that up. And that's RTH. Let me just have a look. Full day. Okay, good. All right, so NQ is very similar to ES, where, let me just move. I want to look at profile first. Okay, we've not quite taken the 65. So this high here at 65 is an important high. So there you go. So you have a target now. Can you see right at that 65? And going into today, if NQ can get into 73 we can look for that 19,020. I would say 19,070 because you've got the midpoint and the point of control here. So this day is from the Monday the 14th. Okay, so you're going to have that big point of control at 65. So 65, mark this level on your chart. So 18,975. Okay, so that's going to be very big resistance, and I'm going to mark it here. Okay, oops, didn't quite anchor that. It's actually a little bit lower. Let's go 68.50 or 68. Okay, lower part of it. And then I'm going to mark the value low. Okay, let's mark this as value low for time. And this I'm going to mark as TPOC for time, point of control. Okay, so those two levels there. And the high is literally just below. So I will say going into this morning, there's still another rotation waiting here. So the question now is 1800. Okay, let's make this there. Let's go to a 1 minute. Yeah, let's see if we can get that pull back to 18,802. 6. I'm going to move this down to 10 ticks. So the top-down analysis is the same as ES that we did earlier. Actually, we didn't do ES. We did BTC and gold. So, but it's very. I've done my ES analysis though. But yeah, I would like to see, okay, this trade to at least 75 later. 63 is on the cards and then back to 75 minimum. But we do have a big range here. So that's range between 802, which is the swing high there. So 802 and 95-ish. It's a good place to potentially hunt long up to that range. Okay, and that's a good trade because it's going to be very difficult to buy up here now. You could go with a scalp, but we're very, very much outside value. So value is sitting in at 67, so 767. That's a little bit far away, meaning we want to see price build a bit of value here to shift this a little bit higher, and potentially by the time it drops, you know, if we spend a little bit more time here, value would have caught up, and then that 800 trade becomes a little bit more logical, okay, where we can take the trade back up to range high. We have a series of kind of like weak highs here, as you can see, like rolling over. So it is very likely that we trade there later, but I would say give me a little bit of a deeper pullback. You can see how far away we already are from VWAP. Let me see the 50 SMA. 1 minute. We have changed it slightly. So yeah, I would say there's a little bit of a room to the downside for now into those 1800s. In other words, this trend is kind of like shifting a little bit to the downside. So the pullback up to 35 could be a nice short down into that 800. And then from that 800, then you can just box in your trade. So remember what I said earlier about that long trade, just like trail it down. So every, and I think this might have, let me just say, we might get the trade here. It is trying to break this series. Oops. Let me just expand that. But I don't think it's ready yet. I think it still needs another push, at least into those 35s. That would be better. Yeah, 35s. We could attempt it. Because I don't like, let me just go down to a tick 4 or 5. Yeah, when the Fed start cutting the rates, short trend, start cutting rates, and now we see a much bigger drop again. Yeah. Or to copy the link, just click on the link, it will open Trading View, and then just click on it and copy, like here. So when you open that link, just make a copy. So open, and then make a copy, save it with your name. And then what I advise you do is, click on yes, and you're going to have all of these levels already pre-marked. And then if you expand, you're going to have all of this stuff there. So you're going to have all of this, all of that, all of this, weekly, etc. And look, yesterday on the yes was beautiful. Like, we came down to the weekly low. I mean, like, yeah, just so very technical. Like, honestly, it was just so very technical. And we do have, look at that, we do have a gap today on the yes as well. So yeah, you can swap between the charts and you'll have that. But yeah, just make a copy. I'll stop sharing that link in 2 hours. Okay, so yeah, just looking here, we might get a little short scalp here. I'd like to see those 35s at least. Let me just zoom in to see. Yeah, that would give us a move down. Stop would have to be 40s. So a 5, no, that's not enough. 45s. Yeah, it's quite slow. We might get it. Yeah, between 35 and 40 is a good place to potentially scalp a little short trade. We do have some shorts there as well. It's a little bit slow though. But yeah, that would be nice to then bring it back down to the 1800s. That's give us a nice trade. So you've got, yes, it's an uptrend, but just locally, nice to get back down to value so that we can then look for long trades. And yeah, and up here, it's like looking for longs when you're far away from value. For me, it's always very difficult because it's not seen as fair value. So yeah, because you're very close to that target, it's like leave that cookie there for later and we'll come and get it. So if we can get a little rotation here, and there you go, there's that nice move back up to those 35s, but not confirmed yet. So we can now just make this chart a little bit smaller here and just focus here. Here's that 35 test, 36 all the way up to 40s, and I'll keep an eye here, and there's always time to get in. So that's it. I think there's no more questions there. I think the Fed will start dropping rates on the next few meetings, or they might hold again, and then when they drop, they might drop it quicker. So instead of dropping just whatever 5 basis points, they might drop it double. Yes, you do have to change the time zone on the SDPO. Yeah, just change it to your time. So, currently I'm in Europe, so, you have the, is it 2:30, isn't it? With plus and minus, whatever. So yeah, just change it to your own time. And then you should be able to see the session start at the New York session open and the other one during the overnight. And that's it, my friends. Thank you all very much for being here. And there you go. We are getting that little test there at the 37s. Yeah, we actually touched the 37s, so I'm going to be a little bit more patient here. Wait for the break. And yeah, thank you very much. I hope you have enjoyed this kind of like a live top-down analysis on these markets. This is what we do every day inside the community. So if you want to find out more, please just come in, join us, and you'll get to see what we do there. And there you go. We are getting that little rotation. Look at that, beautiful. Straight into those 35s into 37s. Maybe I should have pulled the trigger, but never mind. Because we could get that move all the way down to 800s. Let's have a look. I might attempt a quick short scalp here just to see. Okay, if we can get up to... I just don't like the high too much, but if 140, and then we can aim. And the champions know me. I don't really like to preset the take profits, but if we can come up to at least 30, I'll risk $100. Yeah, it's looking very unlikely, I mean. Yeah, I think they're going to break it now. There you go. But yeah, there's room down to those 800s. Yeah, we kind of missed it, but then I wasn't paying too much attention. But you can see how well it works. You can see the liquidity they're building. That was the place, the nice place. But now we kind of have to go with at least those 30s. 30s would still make sense. Come up to 30s and then take the low and then get that follow through below. So eat all of these stops down into the 800. There you go. We're taking the lows now. So that would have been a nice little trade if we went to the anchor trade. $300. But anyway, thank you very much for being here. It's been a pleasure. As always, I like to share the knowledge with you all. And yeah, if you have any questions and you're a champion, obviously you know where to find me. But for the other people, obviously I will be back on YouTube anytime soon. So thank you and goodbye.